Mr. President, on Apple, you said this morning that if they don't make their iPhones in the U.S., you're going to hit them with a 25% tariff.
Right.
Do you have the power to tariff one single company? And why would you want to hurt an American company in that way?
It would be more. It would be also Samsung and anybody that makes that product. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair. So anybody that makes that product, and that'll start on, I guess, the end of June. It'll come out. I think we have that appropriately done by the end of June. So if they make that product. Now, again, when they build their plant here, there's no tariff. So they're going to be building plants here. But I had an understanding with Tim that he wouldn't be doing this. He said he's going to India to build plants. I said, that's okay to go to India, but you're not going to sell into here without tariffs. And that's the way it is, yeah.
Well, why would you hurt an American company?
What makes you confident, sir, that Apple can build?
All right, Donald Trump right there in the Oval Office being asked about a brand new tariff that he announced today, a tariff on Apple products of 25%. He's also saying, though, that he's going to add that over to anyone else who makes the same product, like Samsung or whatever. This is not helping the markets. They are in the red after Donald Trump not only did that on Apple products, but also threatened a 50% tax this morning on all imports from the European Union as well. We're going to put up the market numbers on the screen right now. Joining us now, NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans. All right, so down 35%. It's been up and down today, Christine. I guess explain, I thought we were coming to a series of deals. I thought things were stabilizing, or at least that was the messaging that was coming out of the White House. But again, it just is a reminder that Donald Trump could wake up on the wrong side of the bed at any moment and send out a Truth Social post that sends everybody spiraling. There is no consistency.
And you have these shifting deadlines and shifting tariff levels and now shifting explanation of what kinds of goods will be taxed at the border at what rate. And what the market sees is more not necessarily indecision, but uncertainty about what people. And then all of a sudden you're hearing about a new June deadline. On the EU in particular, and we can talk about Apple in a second, but on the EU in particular, on so-called Liberation Day on April 2nd at the Rose Garden, the president put a 39% tariff on the EU, and people were like, wait, what? And then he paused that, and it's now 10. And now that pause expires like the first week in July.
And now it's up to 50?
And so now he's saying 50, threatening 50.
Why? But it was at 39. Why is it now at 50?
No one knows. And then, well, because he's saying that they're not seriously offering a serious negotiation.
So this is a negotiation tactic.
Probably. I mean, that's what we can assume, but the market still is uncertain. And then we hear he just mentioned June, a new June deadline in that briefing there. And so companies that import things from the EU are concerned. They import things like, drugs, medicines, things that on one hand, the administration is trying to make less expensive, and then on the other hand is threatening import duties, also cars, also a lot of different kinds of machinery that small businesses need to use in their own manufacturing. And that's on top of course, steel and aluminum tariffs. So it's just a new complexity and a new shifting deadline in an already kind of unclear trade strategy.
Okay, so Apple, 25% tariff on Apple products, I guess also Samsung, Galaxy phones, Google phones, whatever. I assume, although it hasn't been clearly laid out, that's going to make, that's a one estimate for what it would mean to make an Apple phone here in the United States, to get a factory, to start selling the product. It would cost $3,000 for an Apple phone?
Or more. I mean, one estimate I saw was $3,500. So a 25%.
Who's going to buy a $3,500 cell phone?
I mean, unclear. I mean, the reason it's made the way it is now is because that is the most efficient way to make it for that price point for the American consumer.
And the workers in China, whether we agree with it or not, are not making the same salaries, baseline salaries, that an American worker would be required to make.
I mean, when you think of these vast campuses that are making consumer electronics in Asia, in different countries in Asia, frankly, and around the world, these are vast campuses. I can't even imagine what that would be like in the United States. Now, Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, talked about.
I mean, it is tasks where you're supposed to be putting like one pin into another in every like 13 seconds over and over again for 12 hours at a time. I mean, these are things that I just can't imagine that happening at a mass scale here in the United States.
Well, the other thing that like trade experts are puzzled by is like why the fixation on this product that is so efficiently made someplace else that makes American workers and consumers more efficient and can afford.
Also,
why not
able
focus
to do other things?
Right, and the United States does things like exports, education services.
Yeah,
very
Harvard,
like some things like
Harvard.
that we do that are a higher value kind of. Anyway, leave it there.
I've gone over time. I could keep talking to you about this like every day. Christine Romans, thank you so much.